Hi everybody and welcome back. Today we are going to be talking about eyebrows. Another beauty basics video where I'm going to try and go really in depth for you all about eyebrows. But if you are new here, I am Lisa Gregory and I make beauty and style videos and vlogs here on this channel. If you like those kind of things, please do hit the subscribe button and give the video a thumbs up if you enjoy it because it helps me out a lot. Okay, so one of the first things that I want to talk to you about today is the shape of your brows. So the shape of your brows is totally to do with the shape of your face. If you're looking to kind of change the shape of your face, if you've got more of a rounded face, going for a brow that comes up slightly will give your face more angles. And if you go for a brow that is flatter across, that will give your face more width. It depends as well how you want your face to kind of look. So I go for more of a straight across look because I want my face to look a little bit more softer, and then use the tail of my brow to create the angle. Some people really like that arch at the front. It can be quite flattering. Just make sure you don't take that too thin because it's not supposed to look as youthful. But saying that, I've seen some people with thin brows and they look amazing. When you're choosing a brow product as well, think about the tone of your skin. So when you're going for a colour, just make sure you get a correct tone for your skin. So if you have got that warm colour coming through your hair, make sure you're choosing a colour that is a little bit warmer for your brows as well, so you don't look sort of too stark or fake. You get more of a natural look no matter what shape that you make. It's a little bit more flattering if you have got that same tone. You can go for a product that will either give you a light and a dark shade, or something that you can blend out at the front. It does look a little bit more natural if you've got that lighter shade at the front and the darker shade towards the tail of the brow, because the tail of the brow is where we tend to have less hair anyway. So if you're adding a dark colour to where you've already got dark hair, it's going to appear more darker at the front than it is at the tail. So that's why sometimes it is that little bit more flattering to go for two different colours. So you can use different products. You can use sort of gels, pomades, you can use pencils, powders. I started off using powders and realised that I used to get them absolutely everywhere, and I am terrible with the pomade. I just haven't quite got the thin skill to be able to do that with. So personally, pencils are for me, and I've recently moved on to something that's kind of like a pen brush, which I will show you in this video. So there are different products that you can use. I would say before you buy something, if you are brand new to sculpting your brows, if you have something at home, even if it's the wrong colour, for example, if you've got a powder, test and just see if you're able to do it, practice a little bit, and then you might think, oh, actually a powder's not for me, let me try a pencil. Try them with an eyeliner, pencil eyeliner, and see if you find that a little bit easier before you go and spend your money on any product. I will say powders are absolutely great for lightening your brows. So if you've got a dark brow but you've got lighter hair and you do want to make that brow a little bit lighter, when I was super blonde, I did used to use a powder over the top of my brows just to kind of lighten them a little bit, and I found that that worked really well. If you have a concealer and a small brush, I would say a little bit smaller than this brush here. Make sure it's a flat brush. Concealers are absolutely great for sculpting out your brow. You can do this before you apply the product into your brow, or you can do it afterwards just to tidy up the lines that you've created in your eyebrows. Okay, I felt that you were too far away, so I've zoomed you in a little bit. But you can also use brow tinting as well, because that's what I've done to my brows recently. I've recently tinted them. Today though, I have used two different products here, so if my brows do look different for you, you will be seeing that in a moment, the two different things that I have used for you today. And after you have sculpted out the shape of your brows, which is really handy actually in order for you to create the correct shape for your brow, it's nice afterwards to go over that brow bone area there with a highlight, whether that be a powder or a cream highlight, because it does lift the brow there and add a lot more light to the eye. If you've got naturally beautiful bushy eyebrows, you can use a brow gel just to hold your brows in place, and these can be tinted or they can be clear. I've got really sparse brows and I use a clear one because I like to sort of maintain the colour of the brow that I've got, even though I tint as well, but also so that I can kind of see and match up the product that I'm putting into my brow. If you've got those sharper angles as well, they do emphasize the angles on your face, and if you've got those flatter eyebrows, they do emphasize that width on the face, as we can, I'm trying to show you here with my face. For maintaining the brows that you actually have already as well, I would say before you do anything to your brows to use a dark pencil to draw out the shape that you want and color it in totally. So basically when you're waxing, or if it's being threaded in your own home, or you're tweezing, you're not going to over tweeze or over pluck into those areas, because there's many a time when I thought I've waxed under my brow and thought, oh yeah, that's, oh actually let's go a little bit higher, I think that's about right, and I've actually taken too much off. When I've gone in to create my brows afterwards, it's just been too much. So I think that's a really good tip from personal experience to make sure that you fill in your brows, overfill in your brows if anything, before you remove any hair. For the front of your brows, if they do get quite bushy, mine tend to grow longer here at the front. So what I tend to do is brush them up, and then if they go past the line of my brow here, I will cut just very slightly any brow hair that is over the top of that line. Even if you've got those long hairs, make sure you're brushing the brow hair up to cut excess off, or brushing the brow hair down to cut excess off, and do that really slowly, making sure that you're happy with what you've got. It's better to take a tiny bit than to take too much off. If you are tweezing your brows at home, for example, your hair on this eyebrow grows in this direction. So when you tweeze the hair, you need to pull it in this direction. If you pull it against the hair growth, you are more likely to have ingrowing hairs in that area. And it also makes sure that you don't get broken hairs as well. A really good idea actually is to just gently exfoliate. So just using your normal facial exfoliator, just exfoliate your face and just take it over the brows, and just do that before you tweeze, because that helps just that little bit. If you're brand new to this, again, you can use brow stencils. I know that Anastasia Beverly Hills do these. I know that you can buy them in Boots. If I can find something like this, I will link them below, because I think they're great for if you're just starting out or you want to change the shape of your brows. So a brow stencil is basically like a stencil that you'd use in school and you would draw inside. So you basically place the stencil over your eye, and then you'd colour in the area that is left. It's just great for trying out different looks before you commit to anything. When you're filling in your brows as well, I would say to start on the outer part of the brow, just where we've said that it's naturally that sparser area there. Start on the outer part of the brow and then move forward. You'll get a more natural look if you do this than if you start at the front and create a whole dark brow, unless that is a look that you're going for, because I know that some people really do like that look. I'm going to do something totally different today because I've got no hair on the bottom part of my brow here, so I am going to start at the front because I really need to fill in that area. If you want that more natural look as well, try and fill in the whole brow with a slightly lighter colour, and then go back in to create some hair strokes. If you're using a pencil or a pomade with a darker colour that matches your brow, you'll get a more natural look if you do that. Okay, so there are a few ways that you can measure out your brows, and I would say to try these out with a pencil first of all, and just colour in the areas that you've got before you do anything. So the way that I like to do it is to start where my nostril is, come up to meet the corner of my eye, and that is where I like to start my brow, just here. I then like to go through the pupil from the same spot on my nose through the pupil, and that's where I like to have the arch of my brow. And then I actually move the tool down to the corner of my nostril here and go to the corner of my eye. Personally, I find that that looks a little bit better on my face than having my tail. And I can show you what I mean here. If I've got that on the corner of my nose, corner of my eye, that is where my brow should finish. I like to kind of have them start and finish in a sort of straight line here, if you can see, just like that, because I find that if I keep the tool in the nostril and then go to the edge of the eye, it would finish lower, so it would finish more down here, and it kind of gives me like a droopy look, so it doesn't look great on me. I think that perhaps is something to do with as well the fact that I have got more of a hooded lid here, so I kind of want to try and lift this area of my brow here than have it look even more hooded and droopy. If you have quite a wide nose and you'd like to sort of lessen the gap that you've got here, you can do this from the corner of your nose to your eye, and that will come in that little bit more. So just try these different ones out. See the kind of look that you like, and it's also a really good idea to find people online that have similar face shapes to you, and you can kind of suss out what kind of brow would look good on you too. If you have any questions about brows, I love brows because of my scar. I've had to try out different things with my eyebrows, different shapes with my eyebrows to see what would work well. So I am a little bit obsessed with eyebrows. So if you've got any questions, if I can help, I will, or if anybody else can help in the comments, please feel free to help as well. But now I'm going to show you 2 different ways that you can do your brows. I'm going to use a new product here, and then I'm going to use the product that I'm currently using on this brow here. Okay, so I'm going to start with, I think, the new product, the Benefit. I think this just appeals to all of our inner children, I think. If you owned one of these pens in school, the clicky pens, which I've actually got now for my marking in school at the moment actually, so this is amazing. The design of this, I just love it. Something that I used for absolute years was the Anastasia Beverly Hills Brow Wiz. I will link here as well my old brow tutorial where I'm pretty sure that I used this. It's broken off on the other end, but basically you've got, I think I've used this to, yeah, that's literally all that's left is that tiny little bit on the end there. It did have a brow spoolie on the other end, but that has broken off. And I would say if you're starting out, this is an amazing product. If you can't get hold of this in a store near you as well, you can get hold of images with swatches online. That's what I did in order to try and find the right one for me. This one is taupe, which is great for when I'm that little bit blonder, and it's nice for the front of the brows. I do then normally go for medium brown for the rest of my brows, but I have moved on to something a little bit different, which I am absolutely loving doing my brows with at the moment. But today I want to do one brow with the new Benefit product and then the other brow with my favorite product. I'm going to go in with the deeper shade first of all, and to make the colour come out of the end you do need to twist it, and it does come out like a little twisty pen. So here you can see the shape of my brow that I plucked it into. If you didn't see my last summer makeup video that I did, this is the shape that I plucked it into when I was in high school, and I have recently tinted them and I've got a few more hairs that are showing through here, so I can see the basic shape of my brow. I like to create a shape that goes in a straight line from the bottom here, and that gives me where that line should kind of stop. So I kind of freehand up until this point, bringing this straight across up until that point there, and then I like to end it. I take the bottom of my nostril then and go to the corner of my eye. And I know there are different ways that people like to line up their brows, but it's totally up to you. Play about with it, and if you don't quite like where it finishes or ends, just try a different way of measuring out. But this is the way that I like to do it. So I like to take it from here to the end of my brow and my eye, sorry, and then that is where I would finish this. So I'm just going to sketch across a line, and then I'm going to sketch down from the highest point first of all to that point there, and if I want to go a bit thicker then I can bring it down a little bit more. Just going to do that. And I think, to be honest, that is probably absolutely fine. And then I'm going to sketch out above as well, so you can see here my brow slightly dips before it goes straight again. So I'm just going to straighten that up a little bit and just along here. I'm going to use the lighter shade then, and I'm going to colour in all of the space that we've mapped out first of all. And to be honest with you, that is not the lightest of colours on my brows. Whilst we're still using that lighter colour then, I'm just going to create some tiny little hairs at the front of my brow. And where I have this start is that I go from the bulge of my nose again through the section, so I want to stop at the tear duct of my eye, so just where the edge of the pen is, tear duct of my eye, so you can see that I only need to bring it over just a tiny little bit. So I'm just going to use that lighter shade. You can see that I've gone a little bit too thick with the one stroke, the very first one that I did. So I'm just taking my little finger to blend that out. And the spoolie is really good for this. If you have gone in a little bit too hard or you filled a little bit too much, a spoolie is really great for just brushing through, and it really softens the area that you've got. That is why I loved the Anastasia one so much. So yeah, I've got a softer area there now at the front. I'm going back in with the deep shade then, and I'm just going to create some tiny little hair-like strokes, and I'm going to slant this right on the edge so I'm only getting the sort of sharp look. Okay, so you could then go in with the definer, which is that lighter shade here. Not the lightest one, it's not the highlight shade, it's the definer one. So I'm just gonna show you what that kind of looks like. And to be fair, if you're gonna use a any brow product, if you're sort of a beginner, I would say that this is a really good beginner tool that has got everything that you need. So I've kind of drawn some lines around the outside of my brow, but I haven't gone just here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in then with the highlighter shade, the lightest one here. I'm going to twist it up, and then I'm going to use that just on the brow bone here. I'm going to bring it down a little bit as well. This is actually quite nice for tidying up the lines that you've got there. Okay. So now I've finished with that, I'm going to go in with the little sponge that is on the other end of this. And I'm going to start with the highlight, I think, and just blend that out. It blends out really well. I thought that was going to be quite difficult to blend out. Just really make sure if you're using this that you are really blending that line into your foundation. So to be honest with you, that is a really lovely brow that's made. I don't know why I'm quite so surprised, because I actually still use 2 of the Benefit products on this brow, and I'm a big Benefit fan. So we're going to go on to the other brow now, and I'm going to show you what else I use. So my first step for this eyebrow is using the Benefit 24-hour brow setter. This is clear. To be honest with you, I've used coloured ones, which are great if you don't have your brows tinted, or you've got dark brows and you want to lighten them up a little bit because you're a bit lighter with the rest of your hair. But I am currently loving the clear one. So what I like to do is just brush up, and then with the rest of my hairs brush across, and I like to wait for that then to set. Okay, so I am currently using the MAC Shape and Shade, and this is in the colour Spiked. I am loving this at the moment because I wanted something to create more of a natural brow, although you can create quite a filled in similar brow to this one with this product. So you've got on this end a tip that's like a kind of a really thin felt tip, and on the other end you've got this sponge, which isn't just a sponge, it's filled with like a powder, and I like to use this to set the brow and kind of shade in the underneath. So you can just use the one end, but I'll show you both today. So what I like to do is start with the front of my brow and create some tiny little hairs just where we said we measured up here. So I've got a little bit more space to fill in on this side. You can see it just comes out a little bit more natural than a sort of a pencil product would. But then I like to map out in the same way my brow and then go back and create some hair strokes. You can, with this, just go ahead and create the hair strokes without mapping out, and just basically you wouldn't have that harsh line. So let me try and do that today for you. So just constantly sort of looking back and forth to make sure that I am measuring up. This one is always my trickier brow because where I've got that scar, it tends to be really shiny. So that is where I've got to powder the most. Okay, so you can see here that I've gone a little bit further down just to create those tiny hair strokes here and make it look that little bit more natural. Okay, and there we have that filled in using just the felted end. So I'm just going to go in now with the other end, brush it across the front. I'm not pushing down, just brushing my hairs there just to tint the front a tiny little bit. And then I'm just going to go over, I'm not going over the rest of the hair, but I'm just going over the pen that we've made there to darken up any hairs that we've got. Okay, so up close you can see this one just looks a little bit more of a natural brow. And I'd probably go back and just sort of touch those up a tiny bit so they weren't as sort of sparse down here on their own. Just add in a few more. But you can see the kind of differences that we've got there. Just sort of two different brows. And that's why I like this product so much. But to be honest with you, I am more impressed with this than I thought I would be. I'm going to show you how I highlight now underneath here. So the first thing that I take is the Benefit Highbrow Glow, and this really needs to sharpen, but this I just like to sweep on the brow bone, just here. It gives it that lovely glow. This is also really nice on the inner corner of your eye. And then for that area then, I do like to go over it with a shimmery shadow. This is from the Charlotte Tilbury palette. I find it not too glittery, but it's got that shimmer to it. I just like to take that there. And then just to define at the front of the brow on this side, just take a flat bone coloured shadow. So I'm just going to take this one called WOS. This is from the Naked Basics palette. Put that across the front. So that is the beauty basics of brows. I hope you find that informative. I will link 2 other of my beauty basics videos if you like them, and I will also link one of my exciting unboxings that I've done recently, one of my luxury brand unboxings, in the description box below. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Have a lovely day, and I will speak to you all soon. Bye guys.